Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to be talking about how I got my electric scooter to go onto the back of the caravan for less than $200. Now, before we get started on this, I'm not talking about one of those electric scooters that you get chai latte teas with almond milk from some snobby little place in the centre of Perth. I'm talking about the electric scooter that I like to take camping with me because it is friggin' awesome. So this is a Carbo Mantis 10. It's basically a two-wheel drive 1000 watt per motor electric scooter. Has a range on paper of around about 70 kilometers, although in reality you don't get anywhere near that. It also has a top speed on paper of 60 kilometers an hour, and it really does do that. In fact, it does more than that, even with my weight on it, even when I'm wearing a heavy backpack. It's pretty typical for it to do around 64, 65 kilometers an hour with me on it, and that might sound absolutely ridiculous, but until you've ridden one of these things, you just have no idea how stable and how amazingly well they ride. They really are just a phenomenal piece of kit. So feel free to comment below and pull the piss out of me for having an electric scooter, but if you do, you have no idea. Unless you've ridden something like this, you're just going to embarrass yourself. So anyway, let's go and have a look at how we got this thing here onto the back of the caravan for less than $200. So first things first, I went and got this bike carrier from Repco, and I went to all of the different auto stores in town, and my God, this thing was an absolute bargain. $79, and it actually has 2 pivot points. These pivot points allow you to store it laying flat when you're not using it, or when you get to camp, so you don't come around the back of the caravan here and smack yourself into it. But it also has a second pivot point down here, which allows me to rotate the whole thing backwards so that I can get into my wood box still, just here. Very, very handy. So what I did to get the scooter on there, because the scooter does weigh 30 kilograms and it is kind of bulky, even though the stem does fold down flat, it still takes up a fair bit of room, and it's hard to tie down. If you put it in the caravan, it's just going to slide around and create havoc in there. It takes up the entire back seat if you put it on the back seat. And of course, with the drawers and everything in the back of the Land Cruiser, I just don't have any room for anything that size on the in the back of the wagon. So what I did, if we just come over here and have a look, this bike rack came with 4 of these sort of little Velcro rubbery mounty type things for bikes to go on. It's got a rating of 79 kilos, I think it was. So putting the scooter on there is definitely going to work. But what I did have to do, if you have a look down here, so what I had to do was put this hitch receiver extension bar in here, and ironically that was nearly the same price as the bike carrier itself. But you can see that the receiver that's fitted to the caravan is actually quite a bit far forward because of this toolbox that's mounted here from the factory, but it's still obviously an extension. And then we've got the spare tire carriers as well. So that extension bar was absolutely spot on with the amount of clearance that it gave me, and that's worked out really, really well. But because of that, I decided to mount the scooter right forward as far as possible by removing 2 of these bike mounts and replacing them with one spot for the scooter to go. So in order to do that, I've simply unscrewed these Allen key button head screws and removed the entire bars off from the bike rack. I've gone down to the big green shed. I've bought some bits of alley angle and some stainless nuts and bolts and some stainless tie down sort of rings, and I also bought some rubber so that I don't scratch the buggery out of the scooter, but also so that the scooter doesn't want to slide when it's strapped down. Pretty simple process of pulling it all off and putting it all back together like this, and just measured it up so that it's exactly suited for the scooter. What's really, really cool about having this extra pivot point down here is that it makes loading up the scooter way easier. So I'm not having to lift it right up above my shoulders. I can just put it straight onto these sections here and then just lift the whole lot back up and put the pin in afterwards. And once you've placed it into its mount up here, you can simply go ahead and strap it down with these hooks, which are located on both sides. And I also like to tie one through the neck here and into here, just to stop it moving side to side as well, even though theoretically it shouldn't with that rubber there, and if you've tied it down hard enough. But, you know, like to make sure. That's for sure and certain. You don't want it to fall off. It's worth too much bloody money. Now, of course, you can see the other problem that you've got by putting these on, and this is a common problem with bike racks, is the number plate. Now you can see I drilled some holes in the number plate here, and I took this reflector off the back and stuck it up here for the first trip away with it, even though still a little bit dodgy legality wise. I thought it was better than having it completely obscured. Massive fines in WA for that. So I've actually gone ahead and got the auxiliary plate, which I will have to drill some holes there or extend those holes just a wee bit, but that will stick up on the back, and I'll do that shortly. And geez, I tell you what, that came really fast. This arrived within 2 or 3 working days into regional WA, which I really was not expecting. My experience with Department of Transport in WA is that they do nothing quickly, but they surprised me quite well with that one. So I'm really happy with this setup. So cheap. I don't know if it's super strong, but I'm not planning on doing corrugations with this on here. It's more for just little trips to the local rivers and lakes and you know, major towns, like when we go down to Esperance and that sort of stuff. It's really good because I still get to put 2 bikes on the back of it as well, so we can have the 2 bikes and the scooter. Just have to watch the weights on them, but I imagine your average bike's probably about 15 kilos, I'm just guessing. So 2 of them's 30 and the scooter's 30, so that's, you know, 60 kilograms. It's still well under the limitation. The only thing that I am concerned about, obviously, is that levering action on the bottom of the caravan, because it does come out quite a way. So I might look at either strengthening that or just marking it to make sure that none of the welds are cracking or stretching. But, you know, so far so good. The other thing that I do, actually, it's probably really important to look at, and I got this off the Emu Facebook page, was I actually tie the bike on both sides to these recovery hooks on the back, and that just stops the whole rack from swaying side to side. Even though it's got these anti-rattle bolts both on the factory section there, on the factory hitch, and also on the extension, it still has a bit of play, and that's mainly due to these folding mechanisms here and here. So I just put Oki straps on, and that seems to stop it moving around. There was some talk that it can produce trailer sway. I think you're doing things wrong if a little bit of movement on that bike rack causes your caravan to sway, but I guess it is right out the back. But anyway, I haven't had any dramas with that so far, so hopefully I don't in the future. This is just a quick video anyway, just another little quick one for you, just to see what I've been up to. If you're sort of getting into the electric scooter game, it's well worthwhile. It sounds like it's something that, you know, big middle-aged men shouldn't be doing, but I tell you what, it really is just heaps of fun. If you haven't given it a go, go and hire one or borrow one, and just even if it's a slow one, and you'll see that they are just a heap of fun. So if you're thinking about trying to get your scooters on, or even if you're just trying to get a bike carrier for the back of your Emu Expedition, or your, you know, a camper that's got a little bit of a stick out bit at the back, and those little extension bars, I got that one from Auto One. I think it's a Mr. Hitch or something. I think it was around $80. So that's definitely worth the go. And I guess if you've got a Prado or something like that with a spare tire hanging out the back, then those would probably be really handy for your average bike rack as well. All right, guys, hope it was interesting. Hope you liked it. The like button, the subscribe button, and notifications if you like the videos helps support the channel, and keeps me trying to come up with new ideas for you to show you what I'm doing around here. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.